其实这个赛季的 LPL， 我觉得各队伍之间的状态起伏，相对于原来的赛季是有更多的改变。我觉得是因为我们赛区的对抗性更强了，对于我们来说，这个赛季应该比之前的每个赛季都要强。
这个赛季就是一个一超多强吧。IG 当然是现在的一个超级强队，他们的个人能力包括打法丰富，状态很稳定，也是赛季开始没有想到的。
这个赛季新人，我觉得你不好去定义他们很难再成为下一个 UZI 或者下一个厂长。我觉得这对他们来说也不公平，因为他们就会成为他们自己。
这赛季这些新人，包括新的队伍，像苏宁啊、FunPlus、京东，也是让我们看到可能未来一些希望吧。
现在的 LPL 当中，选手相对于之前更敢去拿一些英雄了，他们就是为了队伍赢可以拿在我们 LPL 中没有出场过的英雄。
我的一个期待就是看谁能挑战 IG， 期待季后赛谁能威胁到 IG 的地位的。
如果说下一个超级强队出现的时候，就是 LPL 整体的水平再上台阶的时候，我特别期待那一刻的出现。
Well, we just got to witness OMG pick up a 2-1 victory over Team WE at their home arena in Chengdu. Now, we come back to the Shanghai Superbrand Mall where the LPL Battle Arena is located for the last 2 games of the regular season, the 2018 Spring Split of the LPL. First up is going to be Vici taking on FunPlus Phoenix, and then surprise, surprise, we get Mr. Clearlove. He's coming back for EDG. We don't know what Clearlove is he. Is he Clearlove 8? Is he Clearlove 7? Is he Clearlove 666? No one knows. We'll find out in the final matches day. We're going to be breaking down those matches very shortly. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matthew Stewart. Joining me is Indiana Frosker in black. And we just witnessed the final match for OMG against Team WE. We already broke down that match. So let's go ahead and take a look at how the LPL stands at the moment. Because yes, nothing's changed. The points in that last match didn't matter. The points in this next match coming up don't matter. But we really want to highlight some of the teams in the LPL, like FunPlus Phoenix, like Suning, and like JD, who are relatively new, and some of which just barely missed making it to playoffs.
Yeah, it's the strength of our young squads, and not just the young organizations in general, but the particular rookie talent that's located on these squads. FPX, they're centered around, a veteran like Cool in the mid lane, and they've really changed up their morale and their relationship with him about how he's leading the charge for that team. But then if you look at Suning, if you look at JD, it was a very close playoff race. They've both got their stars, Knight and Yagao in the mid lane, and it's comforting to see kind of the new wave of LPL talent, not just at the high end with like the iBoys and the Jackie Loves, but also in the meat of things. Because yeah, Knight and Yagao stand up, but so does someone like Hacker. And technically it's not his rookie split, but he has definitely gone from zero to hero over the course of spring.
Which is something really unique because across all the international regions, you can take a look at them and you can find rookies that really stand out, especially when they have awards like Rookie of the Split. But for this split in the LPL, I mean, the introduction video that we had before the show kind of sums it up. There are so many rookies that have done so well in their first split. People like Jackie Love come to mind. There are players like Abel who are sitting in the bench of RNG, playing only a couple of games, but being one of the best AD carries you've actually seen in the league as well. And there's just so many of them, not just young organizations, but young players as well who have done well.
It's the idea that the LPL really is starting a new chapter, that we're finally shedding the skin of the past. New arenas, new teams, giant, 14 teams, franchise right now. And it's the fact that even the old organizations, the EDGs, the Team WEs, the OMGs, they're also completely different than they once were. So it finally feels like we're kind of throwing off the shackles of, all of the international disappointment that we've claimed, and we're starting fresh. We have a new super team in Invictus Gaming. We have new hopes heading into an international event.
Which is something that teams in the LPL have been doing for quite some time, which is making sure they find new talent, nurture them, and make sure that they're ready to start
We have
at the
a great
LPL when they're
development
ready.
system.
Very good development system, and it's something that the LPL has recently adapted as well. Now that it's franchise, there's no longer the promotional tournament, now there's a development tournament instead.
Yeah, the LDL is underneath, and again, the LPL will continue to expand 2 teams every single year. So next year, we will have 16 teams. The LDL has over 20 teams competing in it, and you get incredible talent like Zoom, like Yagao, like Clid, all just kind of floating around down there.
And on top of that, even though we only have 16 teams at the moment, with this best of 3 format, we have played over 313 games. this split of the LPL alone. I believe Rusty did the math. If we increase to 20 teams and we keep the same format with 2 conferences, that would be over 1,000 games played per split. I mean, we already double what NA and EU have combined in one split, including their playoffs, and we haven't even started playoffs. What the heck's going on? They play so many games here.
It's also part of the reason why our playoffs system is structured the way that it is, because in the past it would, when you're playing so many games, teams, it really is a grind. You lose some of that drive, you lose some of that motivation and that focus in the mid-split, and so you start to slide back. Every single game matters. Our points and our win-loss record matter before our head-to-head due to grab this playoff schedule, and it is a weighted gauntlet, so every single position that you move up in the ladder counts. So the playoffs are structured the way they are as an incentive for the LPL teams to continue to drive and find that motivation over the course of a very long split.
And let's take a look at what the gauntlet looks like so we can explain it a little bit further, because as you mentioned, every game matters. Yes, it's going to decide your seeding in the playoffs, but like you said, the first round of playoffs, teams get 1 point if they are at the highest seed. So the last match today is going to decide the final 2 spots, which is between BLG and Snake. They've already locked in for playoffs. The question is, do BLG get that extra bye and play on the bottom side, which is with Team WE, RNG, and Invictus Gaming, or is it going to be Snake that secure that spot with a BLG loss today?
And let's start at exactly what you just mentioned, Fish. This idea of that is not a typo on your screen. That 1-0 for BLG and Royal Never Give Up is because it's the difference between finishing 3rd and finishing 4th. All of these are a best of 5, and so if you have that 1 point advantage heading into a best of 5, RNG and BLG are effectively looking at a best of 3 moving into quarterfinals.
So today is the last match of the group stages of the LPL. That will decide where BLG as well as Snake play. But remember, the round 1, which will be played here in Shanghai, starts on April the 12th. Quarterfinals start on April 14th, semifinals start on April 21st, and the finals, which will be in Chengdu on April 28th.
And the fact that we get to travel around every single one of our arenas. We're in Hangzhou, Chengdu, Chongqing, and Shanghai. So a traveling circuit, a weighted playoff gauntlet, King of the Hill style. There's a lot to love about the LPL gauntlet playoff format.
There certainly is, but to get to the playoffs, we have to finish the last 2 group stage matches, starting with Vici taking on FunPlus Phoenix. 2 teams in the Western Conference that have unfortunately been eliminated from playoffs, but it's their one last game to play. There is nothing for them to hide. Unlike Team WE, they don't have to prep for playoffs. They don't have to withhold their strategies or experiment. These 2 teams just have to show up today and put on a fantastic show, which we've already seen from the last set today.
When you've got nothing to lose, it tends to get very exciting. Now, on one side, you have Vici Gaming, probably the weakest team in the LPL right now. They're definitely still trying to find their synergy, find their footing, and more importantly, find their starting roster. Currently, they're rotating rosters between their mid laners. Easy Hoon starts game number 1. I have no doubt that Fire Rain will be subbed in for game number 2, because that's what they've been doing for the last 4 weeks.
And for FunPlus Phoenix, they've got some cool stories as well, especially with their mid laner, where Frostgren is now angry at me for making a pun. Cool will be starting for them, but let's take a look at Vici's lineup. Meow in the top lane with Swift in the jungle. Easy Hoon, Snow, and Caveman ran out their roster.
And if you haven't seen Vici Gaming, it's not about Easy Hoon, it's about Swift. Everything revolves around their jungler. The problem is that Vici don't play around their jungler. So if they happen to do it, then Swift goes off, they have a good game, but usually it doesn't really matter. On the other side, Gimgoon, Pepper, Cool, LWX, and Crisp. This is much more a team that's, they barely missed playoffs. They're much more about the 5v5, the synergy. They like to skirmish. They're kind of a brawl-oriented team. And you look at Cool and LWX as your primary carries.
And that's where I really want to start this conversation, with Cool in the mid lane for FunPlus Phoenix, because not only has he been great in the mid lane, he was replacing Bing, who was doing well himself, but he's been substantially better. But on top of that, we've heard the mic checks, we've heard the team communications. Cool is such a morale boost for the team and just brings that veteranship that FunPlus Phoenix didn't have.
He kind of funnels them into focus. If you listen to, okay, so here's the thing. We are right above the stage, and so when it's quiet in here, you can actually hear the players yelling and making their calls. And FPX are one of the loudest teams to actually sit and watch. Even when there's a crowd, you can hear them screaming at each other over just all talking at once. Cool, if you listen to the mic check, he actually is just very calm, collected. He takes all the information in and he makes a very pointed play. And I think the most recent one was the Baron call to immediately shift the tempo and then win the game for FPX. So he has been an immediate upgrade and a very good adjustment to the team.
So we're going to be able to hear more about FunPlus Phoenix later on, because Cool has been a new addition team. Like you said, we've heard about him from time to time, so let's see if it's going to help them out. But before we get into game number 1, let's hear from Swift about this match.
FPX 같은 경우에는 제가 아는 사람도 많고 좀 연이 있다고 생각하는데, 그래서 좀 더 이기고 싶고 그래서 서로 좋은 경기 보여주면서 플레이오프와 관계없이 재밌는 경기 나올 것 같아요.
And we'll be looking forward to that wonderful match as Swift tries to take on FPX here. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dom. We've done a caster hot swap. We've got Clement Chu in for Game 2 of the day, Vici versus FPX. And we heard a little bit about how FPX look like a bit of a different team now that Cool has provided a bastion for their team. It's actually quite funny when you contrast that with Vici on the other side, who had Swift brought into the team, and Swift is not a calm, cool kind of guy. He's going to invade and try to kill your opponent jungler as much as he can.
Yeah, Swift has been trying to pull Vici by their bootstraps up, pretty much. But so far, it still hasn't been working. Vici, I agree with Frostkern, what she said on the desk, that they are probably the weakest team in the LPL currently. For them, this last match really is about, trying to find their pieces together. They've been swapping out Easy Hoon for Fire Rain and also Martin for Snow. So that's been a big change in their roster. So far, however, they haven't found much success with Fire Rain, still sitting on 0 wins, but they have locked onto the AD carry in terms of Snow.
Yeah, Snow has been stepping up for the team. He's still got a little bit more maturing to do, but what better way to do that when the games are already locked for you and your team? And as you can see, Vici Gaming at 2 wins and 16 losses are mathematically the worst team in the league right now with that win rate. But still, they continue to play, they continue to fight because they are locked into 2018 Summer Split. So it's about finding that right roster moving forward. Is it with Snow? Is it with Martin? Is it with Meow or Long? And even in the mid lane, Fire Rain versus Easy.
And we do have to point out about Meow coming in onto the Rift. The big difference between Meow and Long is his Camille and his Fiora. So this is going to be a very action-packed draft. Recently, FPX have shown again and again they're willing to give up the Xayah and Rakan because Crisp has such a good Leona. They run the Tristana and Leona lane into the Xayah and Rakan, and they often do make it a kill lane.
We'll see what that's going to be for FPX because now we've already got the Xayah locked in for Vici. Swain, very early pickup. That can go to Gimgoon, that can go to Cool. We've seen both of them play the new Swain. And there is that flexibility factor to just keep Vici on their toes. Looks like Sejuani is the pickup for Pepper in the jungle to help further cool Vici down.
Yep, his most played so far this split. He's known as a Jarvan main, but Sejuani kind of serves the same function, and it does give him that additional brawling power into the mid game. We have seen him also ban away the Olaf quite often just because people have been picking on him a little bit. Pepper is not one that backs away from fights, so they're banning away a lot of these champions just to make sure his Sejuani is uncontested in terms of the mid game.
There's the Rakan follow-up for the Snow and Caveman bottom lane. Is Easy Hoon? Something was a bit odd there.
Yeah, Easy Hoon is the one that does do a lot of meditation in terms of these player cams. We do see him with his eyes closed a lot during the pan pick phase. Just keeping his eyeballs hydrated, I would suppose that was what he was doing.
You got to be in the zone. As 3 seconds on the clock. And Gangplank, a carry top laner for Meow.
Oh, this is incredibly risky because Gimgoon is known for insta-locking that Fiora right into the top lane. But I guess FPX is going to let him off the hook and instead go for the Echo in the mid. Or are they considering for the Leona?
Yeah, we're not sure. Leona is actually going to be the priority. So you already mentioned how that Leona plays well into the Xayah Rakan because Crisp is so aggressive in that bottom lane. Well, Snow and Caveman now find themselves facing across from the Lady of Radiance.
If you want to see why Leona counters Rakan, this is exactly the matchup to watch. I feel like Crisp is the best Leona player in the LPL. Every time he lands his combo, it's an entire 100-0 combo. There are no CC gaps between it, and he is able to kill the Rakan instantly when he comes in. A lot of things you should be looking for in that bottom lane are those level 6 bush attacks. So they will basically hide in a bush and then try to burst you down instantly.
Faking a recall is often a favorite strategy for FPX's bottom lane to try to bait them into this. Of course, LWX, the shotgun AD carry of the LPL. Sometimes he's able to fire aggressively across and pick up kills and hard carry for his team, but sometimes that shotgun barrel bucks back and ends up hitting FPX in the face. With Ezreal, a safe AD carry being removed from the pool, you've got to wonder if Vici might be playing towards this style and baiting him into play something that could end up costing FPX.
We're seeing FPX throw all of their bans towards the bottom lane. Now, I think this is a really smart idea because the enemy team has already picked up the Xayah Rakan combination. You know they're going to be playing towards the bot lane with that Gangplank pick. So they're just taking away hard engage options there. What they're thinking about is, I have the best engaging jungler left on the board. I also have the best engaging support left on the board. If it comes to a bot lane fight, I'm going to have the initiative and I'm going to come out as the victor.
So this is where we get to see the shot calling for FPX. They're looking at 80 carries right now because LWX loves himself a good hover. But Cool, do you save counterpick for Cool in the mid lane? The newest addition for FPX. Ryze is still open. And yeah, in fact, they will save that counterpick as Tristana is the lock-in for LWX.
Once more, going for LWX's Tristana. It has great burst potential with the Leona in the bot lane. And I also have to mention, this is probably has been LWX's best champion so far. Once you get a kill, you don't need to go backwards. You can just
keep going forward.
Yeah, you just keep on jumping and dealing damage. That's what a shotgun wants, you know, infinite reload.
Exactly. The closer the better. Ryze is the pickup for EasyHoon, the mid laner for Vici.
And what's important to note here is that we have seen the Ryze have a good matchup into the Swain. So what Vici is reading right now is, hey, we know you're probably going to send the last pick into the top lane against Meow with that Gimgoon Fiora. So we're going to try to counter out your mid lane in turn.
Swift taking Nidalee in the jungle, the 6th Nidalee of the LPL so far. Very low play rate in 2018 LPL Spring. But this is a signature Swift pick. This is a champion that he takes when he wants to hard carry. And we heard in the video just before this how he wants to win this series. Well, he's going to have to do it against Gimgoon's Fiora.
I will say that this is also the champion where he lost his life against Raptors. So I guess it's a bit of a revenge game against
there are wins and losses,
birds.
yes. we have ups and downs in the LPL.
Yeah, but it's definitely been a hallmark pick for him in the LPL so far. This is a champion that he's very comfortable at being the aggressor on. He does have a very good early fight potential against other top laners. And of course, you look at that combination, it's forcing Cool immediately into a cleanse. He doesn't want to get hit by the Rune Prison straight into a spear.
Yeah. Already affecting the matchup as the coaches shake hands for the first time in this series and the last time of the 2018 LPL Spring in this matchup. Of course, they'll get the chance to do that in Game 2 or potentially Game 3. But this is a very confident setup from Vici Gaming. The Nidalee is very roam and sort of invade style out of Swift. Very, very mobile and very fast. And when it succeeds the most is when the mid laner is able to back it up and follow through.
Yeah, and that's the big question about EasyHoon. Can he actually follow through with Swift? Because they might both be Korean, but they have drastically different play styles. Swift is the one that wants to go in early and hard, but EasyHoon, he's more about the mid and late game type of person. Also, when you are playing this Nidalee, you have no way out. You win the early game, or you stay and watch yourself become the villain.
A bit of a two-faced scenario there, especially with Swift on Vici Gaming. But the question is, will they be able to get their 3rd series win here in Week 10, the final week before the last chance we get to see Vici until the 2018 Summer Split, especially against FPX, where Gimgoon gets his comfort pick, the Fiora. You talked about it earlier in the draft. Well, now he's got it locked in.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of things going right for FPX here.
I'm not sure Meow can survive this. You know, he was pretty much benched because he was solo killed 4 times.
The fans still supporting the teams as ever. And to continue on what you said, it is going to be difficult for Meow in that top lane. He does take the Undying Grasp.
Yep, Grasp of the Undying.
Grasp of the Undying.
Yeah, it's a more sustained, focused build in the top lane. The problem about FPX running someone like a Fiora in the top lane is that they usually don't support it. Like, the ganks don't go top, nobody looks top lane, and Gimgoon is pretty much left on an island to his own devices. If he comes out ahead, then good. If he doesn't, well, we still have LWX in the late game.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's something that Gimgoon probably likes. Like, nobody come top. I'm just going to kill him.
Yeah, it really is a continuation of his solo queue experience.
Yes, exactly. It just bleeds over into the actual pro play. And we have heard that the coach for FPX has been very supportive of the team despite their trials. And though they weren't able to make playoffs this split, still, it is a good opportunity for the team to grow and transition into that summer split because they were riding a momentum high now that Cool has joined the team. They just need to finish the split strong so that they can go through the break and carry that momentum into summer.
Of course, Cool, one of our legendary players all the way back from the OMG days. Coming back, reviving his career, and trying to find a new out with FunPlus Phoenix. He has been that backbone in terms of shot calling, in terms of the team morale, and you can see the effects on this new team. Recently, after Cool has joined, they've been 3-2 in terms of the rankings, and they've actually have wins against WE and Snake. So half of the playoff teams in the West have fallen to this new FPX.
Already a good sign for FPX. Bit of a tragedy that started a little bit too late, their upward swing. But already we're starting to see a bit of a difference in this team, specifically in this game, as Swift is just soaring through the jungle, going for red, then full topside clear, and Gimgoon is pushed under his turret. So he's got full freedom to just invade and maneuver around the map as he so pleases, if he's able to actually clear those.
Nobody
camps.
saw that.
Yeah.
It's
Look, you got to warm up. You got to make your way on stage, make sure your bindings are all set. You're in the right atmosphere.
You know, I have to say, man, Scuttles are great dodgeball
They
players.
really are. River
Yeah,
Shen.
pretty much.
The legend of River Shen.
We do see a slight advantage for Easy Hoon that is expected in this lane. Swain is a champion that has been designed purposefully to have weaker shove in the mid lane. This is something our designers are very vocal about. They want to tune down the kind of wave clearing ability for the mid. So you can do it as Swain, but you have to get really, really close to your opponents.
We don't see that happening just yet, as Cool is just holding down the fort in the mid lane. He also took Unsealed Spellbook, and here is straight up domination. Electrocute, Celerity, and Water Walking, plus Sudden Impact. Oof. Swift is going all kills.
Yep, it's a maximum roam potential coming out from Swift. If you look at that, that's 3 runes that boost his mobility. However, the point is, can he do anything about this bot lane gank?
Ooh, Pepper. Barely 2 seconds away from being there before Caveman. That's how close he was to getting there on time, but not able to pull it off this time.
We can see Cool is playing very defensively in his mid lane. So the strategy for FPX is actually pretty clear. They have a scaling mid and a top lane. So they're basically telling their solo laners to just, you know, stay in lane, be chill, and wait for that Sejuani level 6 to pile on into the bot lane. We've seen this bot lane combo again and again from Crisp and LWX.
Ooh, good buffer from LWX to escape the knockup of Caveman. But there's the invade. Swift has found Pepper. Tries to get the leap. That's also challenging Smite, but Pepper just trades it back. That's the stun. Easy Hoon roams first. Flashes to catch up, and this is what we wanted to see.
Oh, and that answers our question. Is Easy Hoon going to help out with this Swift Nidalee pick? And the answer is yes. Even though that his minion, he had to walk through the minion wave to do it, he was still willing to go for the try and even expended a flash.
Let's teleport top lane as Gimgoon with his Vamp Scepter is now happy to trade back against Meow, but still Pepper cannot take these Raptors with Swift hovering over the top of him. Cool is trying to come around and help, but Easy Hoon has wave priority.
Actually, after I said the word flash, I realized it probably wasn't a very good trade for Easy Hoon.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, he's okay. Helping to springboard Swift. It's the style that we've always wanted to see from this. Is Spear will pick up that small Raptor, and Swift finally harasses enough to get Pepper to leave.
All good things happening for them so far. They also have the priority in the top lane as well. So Swift should be looking to make up camp in this topside jungle. However, the thing he needs to be aware of is when he's going after, coming back to this next Raptor camp, Sejuani should hit level 6 already, and she's going to be looking top lane. So she's going to be looking bot lane, excuse me. So it really is about how much can you take away from FPX's jungle without causing your bot lane to collapse.
Pepper thinking of roaming bottom. Crisp is stepping very far forward, and you can see how Vici respect the missing Sejuani. There's nowhere for Sedge to be because her jungle is only just now spawning, and Swift forced her off the Raptors. So a defensive play from Snow and Caveman, recognizing they could be in danger. Still, Swift is roaming across the top half of the map, but Pepper is forced to clear out his own bottom half.
And the important thing about the Pepper roaming towards the bot lane is that ward he placed into the enemy jungle. You can see right there, that's the highway for mid laners to go towards the bot lane, the control ward behind the red buff. So if they can get a kill in the mid lane, they can instantly transition it to the bot with the Realm Warp, or they could just go straight ahead.
That said, though, that's the Swain. Can Swain outpush the Rise in this mid lane? You mentioned the fact that he has to play up close. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. if that's all it takes. Well, then that just makes that level 6 so much more incentivized for Pepper.
Who misses?
Oh, that's a knockup. Caveman's actually taken a few hits. That's exactly what you were talking about, Clement. Crisp continues to chase as the Eclipse will trade some damage back, but FPX, despite being the ones engaged upon, end up going even.
It's actually a rare mechanical mistake coming out from Caveman. Usually he's very good on the recon. He saw a chance for a double knockup, missed both, and paid for it with his flash. So that's just going to make Sejuani's level 6 play even stronger.
Pepper is getting very close, but Easy Hoon is ready to contest this. Look at that. Pepper just finds him, immediately bashes on Rune Prison for the reset, but Pepper will finish off his red buff. Cool, meanwhile, is still looking for Easy Hoon. Remember, there's still no flash on Easy Hoon. It's about 3/4 of the way through.
That was a bit optimistic from Easy Hoon. If you look at where Swift on the map, he was nowhere close, and he was walking over multiple FPX wards.
Yeah, but Clement, that was an Easy Hoon roam. Our second of the game. This is a new record for Easy Hoon. What's changed?
It's true. I think Swift probably told him to change. I'm not going to say that was a great roam, however.
Yes. Well, look, baby steps, baby steps. First, you got to roam before you can roam right.
Yeah, you have to roam enough times to know, like, what is a good roam, what is a bad one.
Yeah.
And those were one of those, a lot of risks, not a lot of reward roams.
He did get some good damage onto Pepper, though. Wasn't quite able to punish back for it. Swift on the invade will get a ward and is immediately going to rush onto that buff. There's a ward that sees this happening, and look at the pings out of, I believe that's Vici saying, careful for the bottom lane. Crisp and LWX have lane control, and Swift is forced to back away.
Yep, once again, they can't sync up the roams with their bot lane, with the side of the map that they want to be on. So actually wasting a lot of time on Vici's side, not able to get ahead. And we are looking at that Rakan flashless in the bottom lane.
There we go. Cool. Finally up to 2 stacks on those soul shards. And Swift is just roaming, looking for an opportunity. He might be headed bottom right now. Quickness engage onto LWX. Spear will just time out in front of Chris, but a snare will still catch up to him. First blood for Snow.
Well done by Easy Hoon again, following his jungler even after that failed blue invade. They were just going to do it again. Catches FPX and myself off guard completely. Yeah. I didn't think that they would be the ones going aggressive in the bottom lane, but they actually read where Pepper was going and were able to punish quite heavily.
That was 4 members of Vici, almost 5 as Easy Hoon. Didn't have to use his teleport to get back into lane. He tried to catch up. Pepper will invade and steal away the blue. FPX still sitting just outside of the vision. The Ravens start appearing, and Meow knows that something is off. Something isn't quite right here.
No cannon barrage.
And that's the stun. Already the grand challenge. Ready and procced. He heals himself up, and Cool gets the kill. Quick as he likes.
Yep, and even goes back for a little bit of healing right there. This composition from Vici is actually a playground for the Fiora in the late game. A lot of easy targets that she can burst down and instantly win the team fight for her team just because of the AoE healing.
It's something that Vici have got to be a little bit afraid of. They don't have a tank. And there is a Fiora. There is a Tristana.
Yeah, that's a lot of resets. A lot of bad things that can happen with just 1 kill down. So, you know, even the Swain, he can take soul shards away from fallen enemies as well. So pretty much if Vici want to win, they need like a instant kill on someone and snowball the entire fight. This is not a fight that they want to get dragged down into like a 15-second brawl.
And this is where we look to the assassination of Swift, the high burst damage of a huge Rise, perhaps. Though Snow on that Xayah should be able to put out massive damage later on in these fights if they are able to drag the game out to try and match that of LWX. It's just a risky gambit to try to play, especially when FPX are a team that historically thrive in chaos. The more chaotic, the more they like it.
Oh yeah, the Chinese community has given them the name the Suicide Squad. So I have to say that they have been overtaken. Is this off
of the film, or is this off of the fact that they just like to fight?
It's off of the film.
Okay. No.
And the fact that they like to fight. But here we go.
Look at that. Look at the burst. They found Swift. Cool. Going to get the kill along with Pepper, and the Zhonya's Caveman has found him, but he just goes golden to stall it out. Pepper continues to chase forward. Another never move. Pulls Easy Hoon in, but Crisp joins the battle. He flashes, not able to get the Solar Flare. They found Caveman, and they pick their targets correctly. 2 kills for FPX.
So better support play coming out from FPX. Caveman went in but missed all of his skills before he could make a difference, and after that it was just a playground for FPX to clean up the fight.
And that's FPX. turning Vici's attempted gank onto Cool on its head because they respond and react more quickly. Though we are seeing Vici take proactive plays, they actually need to succeed at the proactive plays.
Yeah, so this is my problem with Nidalee in the current meta, is that her level 6 is incredibly weak compared to other tank junglers that have that big CC lockdown when they get level 6. So you can see right there, you know, Pepper just waiting for Swift to show up. They instantly burst down the Nidalee and just not let her contribute to the fight here.
Pepper was waiting. It was all an elaborate bait. Flash over the wall, and Cool, he flashed out of the Quickness Grand Entrance.
Yeah, also had the stopwatch to dodge all of the CC coming out from Caveman as well, and they nearly turned it back to EasyHoon.
That was excellent. You mentioned how good Crisp is on that Leona. If EasyHoon hadn't flashed, he would have snared both of them, and they could have picked off EasyHoon and then looked for the Solar Flare onto Caveman.
Leona is just such a good pick for FPX.
Yeah.
They want to find fights everywhere. You bring the Leona in, she packs all of the CC you could possibly need. So you go into the mid, you go into the top where there's a lot of damage dealers on the FPX squad, then she can just make things happen. So I'm really glad that FPX has found their own style in terms of the meta. It's a very distinctive draft. If you cover up the name, there's only this team in the LPL that will draft this way.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. Very distinctive style, and it definitely shows. Do you think Leona has taglines when she tries to get these kills? You could use some sun, and then ults onto a target?
I was thinking more like, here's some vitamin D.
Also good. We'll keep that one in the bank. Keep that one in the bank.
All right, I'll try to come up with something good.
Or if Xayah, when she throws a feather, says, let's see if this tickles your fancy.
All right, that's too much. That's too much. It's too much.
Okay. Look, I think they're good. These are off the top. Let's keep it rolling.
I can feel the eyes rolling somewhere. Probably in the Twitch chat.
Oh, of course. But as we get to the 14-minute mark, Vici, they're still looking for plays, trying to be the proactive ones. And this has been how Vici historically have found success. Yeah, oh, that's the wrong way. Didn't want a piece of that. Blue buff being contested. Though Zenith Blade will once again catch up to Caveman. Denied. Solar Flare and the Glacial Storm miss. And Crisp goes too far. Snow gets the kill.
Oh, but this time Caveman has the faster fingers, is able to use the Battle Dance before the stun comes out from Crisp. And he gets out of the way scot-free, is able to return the damage.
And of course, Swift secures the blue buff for himself. Never mind the rise in the mid lane. It's fine. And Snow will continue to push down out towards this bottom tier 1 turret. Vici, historically, as I was saying, when they win games, it's because they can dictate the tempo of the match. They can force the enemy team to march to the beat that Vici set. Seems as though that's the strategy they're trying to return to in this game against FPX.
Yep, and surprisingly, they're actually getting this far in the game because of the pressure from the mid lane, because of the pressure from Swift as well. We never really think about EasyHoon and Swift as a mid-jungle duo. They don't really sync up that much. But in this game, we can see solid steps to make that a reality.
Meow seems to be the only one suffering for it in the meanwhile, as he's getting constantly pushed in. And I say suffering, he's actually not that far behind. He's only 5-6 CS down. Whereas Gimgoon, yes, he certainly has kill threat, but it's a gangplank.
Yeah, that's true. He
can't
has
stop
no
the bank.
kleptomancy, however.
Yes.
So he's not that far ahead, I would say. And it really is about the later portions of the game where the Fiora can really dictate how that lane goes between the gangplank, because she has the split pushing pressure. So Meow is actually a very accomplished Fiora player himself. And I find it quite surprising that he would go into the matchup against Gimgoon, because there's no good solution out of that match.
There's no way that ends well for him. Yeah. Though Vici, they're trying to up the tempo in this, exactly as we said. They rotate towards top. Pepper is there to try and defend, but he eats a spear, and suddenly that becomes just a little bit too dangerous.
We do have to mention this is more of a defensive lane swap from Vici in terms of the bot lane tempo.
Quickness and engage, and that's exactly what we were talking about.
All right, I wanted to say defensive, but, Pepper probably overstayed his welcome over there. He was fine giving up that tower. There's no need to, hard defend that tower. You already got the bot lane tower for it as well. So, it's not, in terms of tempo-wise, it's not terrible, but overstepping a little bit.
Bit of a tragedy for Pepper, as that does give over another kill and some more lane priority to Vici, though finally the Tristana is swapped up to that side of the map. Luckily, a significant amount of wave clear now that the static shiv has finally been finished off. And Gimgoon makes his way down bottom, but Snow fancies himself a fight, and what an alley-oop caveman.
Ooh.
Using the Battle Dance grand entrance.
Yeah, and this is why LWX favors his Tristana into this matchup. Once you start the jump, you cannot be canceled by crowd control. You can always finish the animation, and he's been able to do this twice this game already.
Already able to buffer the escape with that rocket jump as Meow covers the fort in the mid lane. To keep an eye on Cool, who has been farming against Easy Hoon. Already we're starting to see that Rise and Swain, the two of them scaling up, but it's Easy Hoon who's been a little bit more successful in impacting the map, though Cool has been providing direction. Snow steps onto the tier 1, and though it's a Tristana, there's nothing she can do.
Yep, and it's good on Vici to back away instantly. They are at a teleport deficit when they started this fight. If you look at Meow, still doesn't have his TP up, and Gimgoon is already off the map. So really clear intention from Vici. You know, just hit the tower and get away as fast as possible. Don't let FPX use that chance to grab a team fight.
In the meanwhile, the trade-off for all of that success for Vici on the top side of the map has been Gimgoon succeeding on the bottom side of the map. That kill threat that we talked about onto Gangplank means that he's able to deny him away from this wave of minions and steal the blue buff away from Swift. So the question is, what spills over first? Is it Gimgoon on the Fiora, or is it the 4-man roaming gank squad of Vici?
Oh, Vici need to make something happen because their late game isn't looking very good against FPX. You talk about the Tristana range advantage, you talk about the Swain. He loves going into a bunch of champions that can't push him away and are all squishy. Like, he does massive damage to the backline. And there's no tanks on Vici. There are absolutely no tanks on Vici. So it's a very difficult teamfight situation for them. They need to snowball early.
Oh, the control ward, Meow. I'm pretty sure he's dead. He tries to hug the wall and stall it out as best he can, but that's just going to be another kill onto Gimgoon, as the grand challenge allows him to heal up. He's even got the red buff for more health.
Yeah, I mean, this is really good wave control from Gimgoon. He's actually keeping it very close to the river for the most part. So denying farm from Meow, and if Meow wants to step up and get some of that CS, he's going to have to pay for it with his life.
The trade, though, again, is the 4-man squad of Vici step up. Cool drops Visions of Empire, tries to get the steal, but Swift Smite secures Rift Herald and picks up the buff as well.
And FPX are going to try to cut off Vici from defending their mid lane tower. At least get this this wave pushing so they had that time buffer to take away the Cloud Drake.
They've already got the first one. That mobility could end up heavily affecting the game later on. If they decide to go for it, it looks like they're still playing it safe. Look at LWX. He's on the other side of the map still farming.
Bit split decision-making from FPX. I do think the Cloud Drake actually favors their composition quite a bit. They have split pushers and also the Swain with that in-combat movement speed.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's really difficult to deal with.
Especially once you activate that Demonic Ascension. Then you just walk up and hug the Xayah, one Birdman to another. Rakan's not going to be happy about it, but there's really not that much that he can do, as LWX will finally break down the top tier 1. So now it's 2-2 in turrets, and it's the spillover from FPX that's trying to balance this out.
Yeah, a lot of bird people in the Riot roster. That's always surprised me. Like, we still don't have an elephant champion, we still don't have like a walrus champion, but we have a ton of birds. You know, calling someone a bird person in Chinese is actually very disrespectful. Yeah, it means that you have no human logic, like a bird.
Interesting. I mean, what would an elephant champion do? We've already got like Sion, who's a tank champion. Wow, did he actually catch him there? Oh, yes, and the solar flare slow. I can't believe the hitbox actually tagged onto Swift as, Gimgoon once again looking for Easy Hoon. That solo 1v1 Rune Prison and Flash gets Easy Hoon to safety, but that's both the Cannon Barrage and the Rise Flash.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't feel like Vici has pushed enough in the early game to warrant this composition from them. This is a comp that does need to look for a lot of fights. It would much prefer a very closed map and just constantly taking away from the enemy jungle. This is the type of composition where sometimes you don't even want to take down the enemy towers that fast. You want to keep them in lane, keep them spread apart farming their CS lanes. This is a disaster for Vici right now. They have no one to answer Gimgoon. He's been taking away all the wave and also all the jungle in the bot side as well. And it's not going to get any better. So for Vici, the question really is, if they want to get back into the game, they need to do it now. They need to find a lot of picks.
Well, luckily for Vici, Baron is up, Hex Flash channeled, and he makes it to safety.
He's pretty lucky. If he got hit by that
boy.
spear, he was dead there. That cancels the channel.
Hugs the wall, and Swift is not able to catch up. Oof. Luckily, he lives to shine another day. Shine on that crazy Leona. And 22 minutes in, still the maneuverability of that 4-man Vici gank squad is trying to find picks, trying to find openings and opportunities, but FPX, they're playing it safe. They're just hugging their turrets on that top half of the map while Gimgoon continues to wreak havoc on the other.
Yep, and I think the way FPX is playing it is fairly nice. They're only pressuring one lane at a time, even though they do have a lot of wave clear. So let's say LWX is in the top lane, he's holding his wave close, and they let Gimgoon try to draw attention away. You know, don't let the enemy team then use that weakness in the top lane to overload the top side of the map.
They force the engage. That's Demonic Ascension. Cool, he's got Zanya's. Zaya takes to the skies. Blade Caller is ready, but stunned on the way down. Cool heals up, and they get the kill as Gimgoon has joined the fight. He is ready. Herald is distracted by the minions and FPX. They've already killed the AD carry, and now they're going to kill the Herald.
Snow actually is the one caught out right there. Still had his flash as well. A bit of a interesting turn of events. I believe it was Caveman that issued the engage, but somehow Chris was able to find the backline in the exchange.
And now what appears to be a rotation to the bottom lane for Gimgoon, leaving that top half of the map undefended. LWX and Cool will head towards mid and finish off that tier 1 while Gimgoon happily pushes bottom, and it's Vici's plan that backfires against them. Always a tricky strategy. When you're the team setting the tempo, yes, you can try and force and make the plays, but you also have to succeed on those plays, exactly as we talked about earlier.
Yep, and so far they really haven't been able to find anything there. The Herald also goes to the Void back unfulfilled, as he isn't able to take down that mid lane tower.
Always a tragedy. We just saw the gold just a few moments ago. EasyHoon still doesn't have flash. But luckily, he's pretty tanky with a fully stacked Rod of Ages. Yeah, let's see that fight again.
The important one is Snow and how he actually got caught out. He still has his flash, and I would assume his ultimate. Goes forward, trying to finish off the kill onto Cool, and is stunned mid-jump.
On the way down.
Yeah, a lot of players do have to remember that animation for the, I believe it is a Featherstorm, is actually fairly long. So you really don't want to use it in that situation. You'd much rather get your flash.
Oh, the grand challenge once again. How did he land all of those hits? He's healing up so much. The late riposte still in the cannon barrage. He's healing up off of the vitals, but EasyHoon finally hugs the wall. That's 2 members bottom, though, and immediately FPX turn onto the Baron. Pings from Swift. He's got his smite, level 13 to level 12, so he's got the smite advantage. Chris places a ward over the wall, but Snow steps forward, and they try to turn and get the kill. They leave Chris to potentially die to the Baron. Snow gets the kill as FPX are falling apart at the seams, and Vici continue to chase and scare them back. Spear lands, Swift on the chase. Never move, and Visions of War, but Caveman tries to find the knockup. Pepper sidesteps, but only barely.
Good flash from Pepper, but I have to say that was a horrible play coming out from the jungle player. If you want to do that, you really don't want to do it on the jungler. You want to do it on the other side of the map so he can instantly follow up with the team fight. Went for the risky one, didn't get anything out of it.
Still no vision of Baron. Pepper goes in. It's only got 2,500 health, and Pepper is dead. That's the jungler gone. Smite is going to pick it up for Vici. They have Baron 25 minutes in, and FPX are forced to turn tail and run.
Yep. No more chase potential from Vici Gaming, but they walk away with the kill in the bot lane and the Baron as well. I have to say this is a fumbled play from FPX, to say the least. The way that...
Oh, well, that'll do it. Flash, LWX gets a kill, and he's got the reset. Teleport gets Caveman in to join up with his team as LWX leaps away. What on earth is happening, Clement?
Well, that's FPX. They're a very unexpectable team. You know, they'll lose a Baron, but we'll set up a play right next to our tower. And sometimes you just have to respect him for that engage range on Chris. He's been doing this for the last 2 weeks, and it's showing why it's working so often.
Already, we're starting to see FPX try to claw their way back into this. Like we said, chaotic and unexpected. Always a pleasure to watch.
Oh, yeah. Definitely true.
Was that a shudder?
Yeah, I used to be a coach.
Okay, yeah.
And when I look at teams like this, I never have a very good feeling. Like, it's never a good thing when you can't expect what your players are going to do. If I'm coaching FPX, I'm like, you know, this is how you should play it. But all right, do what you're good at. Do what you're good at. I'm happy with the win. You know, you kind of have to have that attitude when you're coaching these guys.
That's where we have to look to Cool to bring stability to the team, though, because he was supposed to be the calm, collected, the cool guy.
Oh.
When the team is hot fire, saying let's chase, let's fight, let's kill, and Cool says, whoa, slow it down, let's split push. I mean, even why are you here? That's a riposte, stalled out, knocked up. He dashes out of the way, still alive, but only barely, finally dies. But that's also the kill onto Crisp, who dies to save him. They still manage to get a kill onto Caveman out of the back of this. And Vici follow through the snare. Cool in the front. Zanya's, as he goes golden, the spear goes through and misses, and the explosion is not enough. LWX, where are you going? Calm yourself, forward? Child. Rel morph to chase Easy Hoon in the front. LWX is dead. So, Clement, as a former coach, how do you bring stability to a team that does plays like this?
All right, so I've criticized Kim-Kun for this multiple times, but he's actually a terrible 4-1 player. Just look at his path. How many wards did he walk through? He was going from the bot into the middle of the river, and if you look at that area, there's 3 wards placed down right there. So he somehow has that great idea that there might be no wards that will catch me. So he goes top, gets instantly collapsed, forces his team to go and save him, and then, of course, LWX throws the extra kill in at the end.
Oh, Swift lands the spear onto Pepper. Excellent catch there to try and force him out as they are now still continuing to fight, but this is just
Look
one,
at this.
two,
There's 3
three,
wards. How would you?
And he just walks in. I can outplay this. What is that, vein spotting? What do you call vein spotting with a Fiora?
Vein spotting with a Fiora? F-spotting? F-spot? Is that good enough?
That sounds good enough for me.
Okay. So going forward
just the easy
again.
chase. I mean, it's FPX trying to save Kim-Gun and overextending into a pretty powerful Vici at this point.
You know, the 4-1 is the hardest split push type to play, and this is one of the reasons, okay? Your top laner has to be very cognizant of where there might be wards. You can't just have him like, I'm winning the bot lane, you know? I guess I could make something happen mid. Walk past 4 wards and gets collapsed on. And
yeah.
It's an improvement for Kim-Gun, because usually what he does is he just stays in the bot lane forever and then dies there.
Yes.
But, you know, he's trying to collapse, trying to leverage that
like
pressure.
we said, baby steps.
Yes,
baby steps.
Baby steps. But that was ridiculous. That was honestly just like, what are you doing?
At least babies are cute. I think that's the takeaway.
Kim-Gun's cute too. I wouldn't say that.
After that play, would you still call him cute?
I just don't want to coach him, but
yeah,
okay. He's cute.
So then you brought Cool into the roster, trying to add stability to the team. It clearly doesn't work. We've seen attempts at the change, attempts at the new style. How on earth do you teach them to chill out?
Well, I could tell them that, you know what, we're going to go for an easier strategy. You're 6K behind right now, but you still have the better team fight composition. How about you just sit back for a while, let that, you know, gold kind of catch up, and then you go for a 5v5, because they're still going to win the 5v5 incredibly hard at this point.
Even against the Xayah Rise?
Even against the Xayah, they have double tanks. They just have a better front line against it. They also have higher damage potential around their entire roster. So, and if they kill anyone, it's Reset City. So,
oh, yeah.
So I feel like FPX, you know, if the 4-1's too hard, they honestly haven't been able to pull it off the entire split. And, you know, if you want the win, go for something a bit more standard.
Strategy. You're exactly right. Right now, we see them still defending with the 4-1. This might be a little bit easier for them because they aren't the ones who have to push and pull the enemy around the map or get possibly collapsed upon. Now, Meow is actually heading bottom. Baron has already worn off and will be respawning in 2 minutes, so it's just a standard siege with constant poke and harass from Swift.
Yep, they just want to get people low enough that they can chip away at the tower. You can see FPX, they're standing very far behind that tower. They don't want to be trapped into that scenario where they have to fight a 4v5 in a cannon barrage as well. So, you know, Vici still eking out a little advantages here and there.
For now, the advantages have been largely stalled. Still 6,000 gold between the teams, as you mentioned. Kim-Gun's actually pushing up very far. Fancies himself a duel as he has found Meow. No grand challenge just yet.
Gets a barrel.
That's the cannon barrage. 1, 2, 3 hits already procced. The Sterix will give Meow some extra health, and that's the 4th one as Meow spreads in between the two. And Kim-Gun just heals himself back up. He's got the Ravenous Hydra.
That was a foolish play from Meow, to be honest. He uses the cannon barrage and also the flash just to surprise Gimgoon. What he could have done was walk beneath the tower, and none of that would have happened. So a lot of overreach from Meow. He's a very young player, only started playing this time, this split.
That is a death brush. Oh, but Visions of War spots it out. Visions of Empire. Solar Flare looks for a pick, but Featherstorm gets Snow to safety without having to burn a flash.
And that's why you want Cool on the roster, man.
Yeah.
Cool as a cucumber, reads the play incredibly well. Just out-experiences Vici.
Now, Inferno Dragon is up in the meanwhile, and Baron's still up in 10 seconds, so there is a window of opportunity for FPX, which they utilize, but Vici are already on top of the Baron. Snow and Caveman are making their way over there. It's going to be finished off. Gimgoon resetting back to base, as he does have Teleport. Baron immediately being started. Spellbinder is at 100 stacks for EasyHoon. That's 100 bonus AP if he wants it. Crisp doesn't want to risk it. He's actually starting a recall.
No Vision of
FPX
Empire.
have no idea.
Down.
Now they finally see it. There are the Visions of Empire, but it's the Visions of an Empire crumbling.
Well,
that's not very Noxian of them.
Yeah, it's just flat out mistake coming out from FPX, actually, just not reading the timers very well and giving Vici a very easy opportunity. Like, they've just chased them out of the top side of the map. They do have the better tanks to kind of walk into the rushes and check, but they just weren't in position to deal with it. I think it was just underestimating Vici.
And that seems to be the problem that everyone who loses to Vici makes, is that even though they may be the worst in the league, they're still not a terrible team.
Okay, I'm not going to go into the are they a bad team or a terrible team discussion. It depends where your standards are. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, they've now got their second Baron against FPX. They're up to 8,000 gold ahead now with a huge minion wave. Gimgoon is trying to clear out this minion wave, but there are a lot of people nearby, and Gimgoon is flirting with danger.
Let's be honest, FPX should have never put themselves in this position. They actually gave away multiple team fights to Vici without much reasoning. But they still have the team fight lead, though.
Oh, they found EasyHoon. Can they burst him down in time? Oh no, the rocket jump is not enough to catch him. He turns and runs, FPX.
Oh, man.
Why? Why would you do this?
FPX and their mistakes.
That's it.
That's the iconic duo.
Teleport as EasyHoon gets back into the fight. He didn't even burn a flash. Holding on to it as now he is just trying to siege it down. He's finished off his Rabadon's death cap, and immediately the inhibitor turret breaks.
Doesn't have the Spellbinders anymore, but it's already charging up. They have a very sizable gold lead, 10k at this point. So FPX, even with the better composition, they can't go in.
Huge mistakes out of FPX. They're 10,000 gold down, one inhibitor missing, one inhibitor bear, and one inhibitor turret left. And now the Elder Dragons will start spawning along with these Barons in just a few minutes. So the situation is not getting better for this team. Pepper's on the side once again, but he doesn't have an ultimate. He's spotted out by Swift and forced to back.
They just need to wait for that ult. If they can pick one person off the Vici roster, they can still win this team fight. They do have the reset. They do have the grand challenge. So it's just about positioning and that one first kill. That's all they need.
And while Vici might be relatively squishy, an easy 2 kill so far, not very many of them have died in these big fights. The LWX is starting to clear out these minions quite happily on that big Tristana. Pepper finds Caveman. Battle Dance gets him out, but look at that. Even trying to engage, Pepper is punished that much. This is not a composition you want to run into.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage coming out from Miao at this point, and EasyHoon with the lockdown as well. They're also able to retaliate against the front line from FPX, but things aren't looking very good now. That's going to be the first inhibitor tower going out in the next wave.
Yeah, the last inhibitor tower. As slowly but surely, they have to give up ground. The spears just keep on coming. The minions flooding in from the other side. Pulled across. Caveman tries to engage. The Glacial Storm misses. Pepper in the front. Eats a barrel. Forced to get out of there. Cannon Barrage on top of him as he walks away. Cool still in the front. Drops Ghost. But look at EasyHoon's damage. Lasagnas and Cool flashes. He is dead as EasyHoon lines it up with a flash Q of his own.
EasyHoon predicts the straight line flash, and it does look like Vici are going to take down FPX. They were very far behind in this game at certain points, but just mistake after mistake.
Yeah, they still need to finish this one off, Clement. There's two very high damage members of FPX still alive, Gimgoon and LWX, but like you said, here come the super minions. Baron might have worn off, which could give a bit more time to FPX, at least until Cool is back up, but they've already lost one Nexus turret. And still the minions are crashing in.
It's really good play from Meow on the last time around. Hit his death dance, hit his death starter on multiple targets and the barrel. Can he do it again?
They've managed to get good damage. Meow in the back. Chris forced to turn around and back away. And Swift with the assassination onto the tank. Gimgoon goes in. He gets the grand challenge, but it's amongst 5 members. He's got no follow-up. Dropped into the GA. LWX tries to hop in, but Meow just quickly bats him away as you would bat away a fly. And Vici Gaming try to turn this around. Cool back alive finally. Will dissuade some of this, but Easyhoon kites around the range, kites around the minions. The knockup, the snare. Is it enough though? K-Man goes around and LWX gets one. Those are the resets, Clement. 1, 2, 3, a triple kill, a quadra kill, nearly the penta, denied by Cool, but FPX minions on their Nexus, hang on.
And finally, LWX with some redemption going into the backline and sniping out Snow. Snow still had his flash, again caught unawares by the damage coming out from Cool. That was a really haphazard defense coming out from FPX. I actually thought that Gimgoon went in at a very odd timing. It didn't look like he synced up with Crisp at all, but Vici couldn't deal with the Birdman.
This is that communication that we keep talking about for this team. They have got to learn how to work together, to communicate together in these fights. Cool respawns, and here it is.
Yep, Meow goes a little bit too far forward, gets caught out by the Never move, and that's one down. 4v4 scenario. Just look at how much HP Cool is still getting back. 196 on each tick, and when all eyes are on Cool, that means not enough of them are on LWX.
And Elder Dragon picked up by FPX on the respawn. The death timers are too long for Vici Gaming, though double supers are making it really difficult. Actually, they are going to finish off this Nexus turret. Look at them go, Clement! It's an ocean flooding in. The Nexus is bare. And while FPX have the Elder Dragon and double Infernal, all it takes is one back door. All it takes is one Swift Nidalee with a Lich Bane to sneak in and finish things off.
And we've seen Swift do this before. The game against TOP where they got the miraculous win, it was Swift walking into the enemy base and finishing the Nexus off. This
After
is the
his team
Nidalee
lost
special.
a fight, yeah. He was able to end the game. Oh my goodness.
They have to wipe Vici completely. They cannot let any member get out alive. Because of the mobility from that Nidalee pick, it's a very real possibility that as 4-man are distracting the FPX, they could go and sneak in the Nexus.
That said, Vici have set their sights on this Baron, immediately burning through its health. And with that buff, double super is no longer an option for Vici because an inhibitor did respawn. Though there are still some double supers out of these waves, this defense is going to have to be Herculean from FPX, especially because Vici have the long duration on that Baron buff, and Elder is already halfway through.
Yeah, I'm just very worried about Vici because the next team fight, I would assume that Cool is finally going to get his Void Staff. And when that happens, oh boy, it's going to be absolutely terrifying to watch. He's going to rip through the entire backline. He can just flash in. He already has his Zhonya's as well. That will prompt an instant disengage from Vici. So it's a very difficult team fight for Vici to actually play well. There's a lot of things they need to be aware of. The best way I would say they would do the team fight is actually to let FPX engage on them and then try to punish them afterwards.
A scary situation. But FPX, in their last match of the 2018 Spring Split, Vici in the same boat. An exhibition match, if you will, between these two teams, as neither of them have made playoffs. They are playing for pride at this point. Two teams that weren't good enough, trying to prove that, in fact, they were. But here come the minion waves. It's only a matter of time. Baron, a third of the way through on Vici, and the Elder buff just wore off.
This is really good on Vici Gaming to back out. They know that these other two waves haven't aligned with their bottom wave, so they're waiting for that minion wave to finally step up. They avoid the trap from FPX, and now they have a clear window towards that bottom inhibitor.
Right, just glory from Caveman. They finish off one inhib. Solar Flare, they pinned him against the wall. Caveman's the target. Meow on the side as Gimgoon tries to join the fight. Look at the chunk damage. Meanwhile, that's a snare onto Cool, and Easy who destroys him.
He didn't even use his Zanyas.
He's able to get the burst. Realm Warp onto the Nexus. Easy Hoot's the only one that went in. No, his team isn't there. Finally, they're able to get in there, but Easy Hoot is dead, and LWX is firing. That's one, but still the Nexus is there. LWX turns onto Meow. He pops the stairs. He leaps forward. It might be too far. His Nexus is undefended. His team is dead. They're on the fountain. He's trying to get the kill, but the Nexus goes down. Caveman and Snow finish it off, and game one goes to Vici.
Very good play on that last team fight. Meow was able to zone away the enemy backline completely. LWX couldn't find a shooting window to put his damage out. And with the Spellbinders on, EasyHoon comes up with this surprising clutch play to take Cool out of the fight.
The burst, what was that, 1,500 damage, 2,000 damage with 3 abilities?
I saw like a crit was like 790 come out from just one overload. So I imagine if he chained all of that damage together, instantly took down Cool. No Zanya used from the Birdman at all.
Perhaps Cool's cool. Kept him dead there. Trying to keep his cool. I can survive this damage. Oh god, I can't.
I really need my Zanyas. I made a mistake.
Look, we all learn lessons. And mistakes are just opportunities to learn. But how many lessons have FPX learned in that last match?
I will say not a lot. Judging by their entire season, we've seen the same mistakes happen again and again. They set up for the 4-1. They don't know how to play a 4-1 split push. Their collapses have been atrocious this time from Gimgoon around walking over 4 wards and still not expecting the collapse. I was like, what? So FPX, you know, they had a lot of good proactive plays, but I think most of their problems do come out of reading where the enemy team actually is on the map. They have no sense of where the enemy team actually is.
I think they're here. Maybe they're not. Oh god, they're here.
Oh, they're here. They're definitely here. Oh, they're at the Baron. Oh, that's the second one.
Oh no.
So that's what
they
really
slowly
need to
hemorrhage
work on.
objectives. Yeah. Well, now it's up to our analysts to break down what actually happened in that series.
Thanks, guys. Clement, fix your headset. It's not on the right way. But we're going to break down that series a little bit quicker here. Frosco, I know you've got some choice words about that game.
I'm a little bit tilted watching that game, in all honesty. So the thing is this is a perfect example of when you look at drafts, because a lot of analysts will look at drafts and be like, FPX have won. There's no way that Vici should be able to get away with this game. Like, it's going to be over. And then you see the result and you're like, what happened? Let me tell you what happened. Systematically, every member of FPX made massive either mechanical errors or massive decision-making errors at very key points in the game. Because Clement kept saying it during that cast. If this is a straight 5v5, FPX composition will just dominate Vici. But we never got that. In fact, the first time that it looked like we were going to get a true 5v5, Sejuani just throws the ultimate wide, doesn't hit anyone.
And it was a reoccurring trend. As you mentioned, it wasn't just one member from FunPlus.
Everyone did it.
Everybody, from LWX mixing a kill onto Ryze in the late game, to Cool dying.
Ryze away.
To Cool dying in the final team fight at their bottom lane inhibitor. It just felt like one by one they were failing systematically. And FunPlus Phoenix only just got eliminated from players. Could this be something that just stems from morale of not making it there or just not quite making it to playoffs?
I mean, it's hard to say unless you're actually in team comms. I just think that sometimes you just have a bad day. Sometimes you just queue up the solo
sometimes
queue.
you all have a bad day.
And you're missing everything. I mean, the game doesn't matter that much. You know, there's nothing on the playoff standings. We say that it's for pride, but we don't actually know how seriously the teams are taking these matches or how much it may or may not matter to them. So it's always hard to kind of take a stance on that. But as far as Vici is concerned, what's very cool is the dynamic about Vici learning from their mistakes, and then you can see the adjustments and the changes.
Well, there were a couple of errors, as you mentioned, coming out from FunPlus Phoenix, including the loss of Barons of Vici early on.
Pepper going in way too early on the Baron, like the lack of communication that we're all attacking from the same side. I believe Gimgoon was also caught out walking between all 5 members and dying right before that play happened. Again, Tristana using the ultimate instead of just throwing another auto attack to kill Ryze in the mid lane. Swain fumbling the last team fight, like every single member.
And normally when we come back to the desk, we try to break down this game, we try to talk about what's next. Like, what do the teams need to fix? It feels like this is just, they need to fix their confidence almost in some of the decision-making of the team. How does the team reset going into game 2 after that?
Well, you don't play a 4-1 because I also agree with Clement. Your ability to win that game, or technically your ability to create make mistakes during that, exponentially increases. So FPX, they need to to break it down. Make it go back to simple. Do not give Game Gain a split pusher. I understand he's a carry-oriented top laner, but just like dumb it down. Put him on a tank, make everyone group up, and just 5v5 successfully.
And hopefully that'll be able to boost their morale a little bit. Because remember, it's their last game of the split. It's their last game that both Vici as well as FunPlus are going to play in Spring Split of 2018. Because both of them will not be able to make playoffs in the Western Conference. For Vici, though, they looked a little bit better coming to this match against FunPlus, even though a lot of the opportunity and a lot of the leads that they got were almost given to them by mistakes that were made.
Yeah, but it's still the ability to capitalize on those mistakes. And again, we are seeing good things from Vici. You know, EasyHoon was roaming. He was following around with Swift. It wasn't always the best roam. Sometimes he was expending his flash a little bit too aggressively. But you would never see EasyHoon, you know, 2 weeks ago burn his flash trying to follow up a play for Swift. So I think Vici are still moving in the right direction, and it feels like FPX have just stalled out a little bit.
And then do we see Fire Rain coming here? Because this has always been what's happened. If EasyHoon plays game number 1, then they bring in Fire Rain. Win or lose. But with EasyHoon on a roll, so to speak, playing well in game number 1, does it make sense then for Vici, you know, to say, you know what, let's keep him in, let's see how he goes for game 2, or do they put in Fire Rain and say, let's give him the experience and give him the showtime?
I mean, unfortunately, I'm not in the comms, I'm not the coach, so I can't make the decision, but it would give us insight into Vici, how they are thinking about the match and how they're preparing for 2018. This organization has had a long-standing relationship with development.
Yep.
You know, they've always been saying that we're training up players, it's not going to be our year, but, you know, maybe next year will. It's never come to that year,
no.
So I have a feeling that they probably will swap in Fire Rain because it just makes sense with what they've done in the past.
And not only they've been focused on development, but they've been focused on trying to get into the LPL. I mean, last split they were playing the LPL, they had to re-qualify for the LPL, did so, and now it's franchise set. They're at least locked in their spot for the summer split. And off the back of that, Snow was able to pick up an MVP performance for Vici. Now, he also made a couple of mistakes during the early game, entering the mid game, which gave some advantage to FunPlus Phoenix. But after that one mistake he made in the mid lane, he came back strong, was able to play very well.
I mean, still playing aggressively, his head's on in the right direction. You know, normally we don't see Isaiah try to kill someone with an ultimate. It's normally used as a disengage tool. He probably learned that lesson, but this is what Vici have always needed. They need a carry, and so if Snow wants to step up, if he has that bloodlust, more power to him.
And we talk about all the time, you know, Fire Rain's coming in, a lot of development coming in. That's one thing we haven't seen recently. Since Vici have not been able to make it into playoffs, we haven't seen Marcin really come back and adapt to the roster or try and mesh with the team once again. It's all been about Snow, and you talked about it. Is he going to be the carry that Vici potentially look towards in the future?
Unfortunately, I feel like Martin has been given a lot of chances and hasn't been able to execute on those chances, and not just with Vici, but with multiple teams. So I foresee that Vici will continue to invest in Snow.
We'll have to see how that works out for Vici. They're able to pick up game number 1 over FunPlus Phoenix after an abundance of errors came out from FPX during that match. Let's go into a very quick break. We're back with game 2 in just a bit.